But what is that noise? Am I the only one hearing it? It's like, all right.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is a Fast Break Podcast. I swear I was hearing something. This is a Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
They think I'm going crazy. I swear to God, I was
Room's haunted.
I was
Just a little bit.
I was hearing a scritching noise. Just wanted to make sure that everything was clear, so you guys could have a clear podcast. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, you can have a clear 60 minutes, however long we go on this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, what's up? Today we're going to be talking about Gordon Hayward, obviously signing with the Boston Celtics, and what that means for them. We're going to be talking about the Sacramento Kings. They've added a lot of pieces. Can they be something in the Western Conference? That's weird saying. And then also we're going to be talking about the Summer League, talking a little bit about Jason Tatum. So let's jump into Gordon Hayward first. Obviously similar lines there. Jason Tatum, Boston, Gordon Hayward, Boston.
I was going to say, if you're a Celtics fan, you're going to love this podcast. Or hate this podcast, depending on the opinion.
I mean, Ricky's here, so you're probably going to hate a little bit of it.
We don't know exactly the contract details, exactly what's happening, because Gordon Hayward still isn't official, right? Because the sign and trade out there?
Yeah, they're rumoring to attempt to sign and trade so that way they can make contracts work correctly. Otherwise, they're going to have to dump some people off of the roster.
Like Marcus Smart, Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, names that have been thrown out there.
Yep.
And obviously they just released Kelly Olynyk. He just signed with Miami Heat. But Gordon Hayward does intend to sign with the Boston Celtics. We know that. Shouldn't fall through. Obviously, players might be leaving and going from Boston. But what does Gordon Hayward signing with the Boston Celtics do for this team? Does it make them a title contender? Does it make them at least an Eastern Conference title contender? What does this mean for the Boston Celtics? Do they improve? Does this make them a better team? Does this kind of hurt them in a weird way? If you see it, what are you looking at with this Gordon Hayward signing the Boston Celtics?
Well, I mean, the thing that I looked at right away were just two things. First off, what was the biggest thing that we said Boston needed last year, especially in the playoffs? Rebounding. 5.4 rebounds per game. That's what Gordon Hayward's going to bring you. Now, when we're looking total points, 21.9 points per game. He's going to give you some wins just with that alone. But with the rebounding, where Gordon Hayward to me isn't a, man, he's going to go and get every boards type of a player, something that they needed last year. And then the second thing, everyone's saying, well, they now give him, he's the second star along with Isaiah Thomas. And my big thing is, even with last year, if Gordon Hayward was on that team, they still would have lost to the Cavaliers because Isaiah Thomas couldn't stay healthy. And to me, it all comes down to Gordon Hayward. He's going to have to cover up some of the deficiencies that we say about Isaiah Thomas, because Isaiah Thomas is good, but there are parts to his game. The one that I harp on is his defense.
He can't play defense at all.
Gordon Hayward's going to have to help take some of that pressure off of IT if the Celtics want to compete. I still got the Cavs going to the finals, though.
And what are your thoughts?
I think that it's actually, I just want to jump off of Ricky on this one. The fact that we're going to play him off of IT is actually a wonderful combination because you have IT running the point as an aggressive point guard. The pick and roll with Horford we saw last year was deadly. Horford's one of the best passing bigs in the league, and he had a phenomenal playoff series. Just his entire playoffs, I think he is one of the best performances. So I think that those three together are fantastic, assuming that I think Crowder's the odd man out at this moment from the talks for the sign trade, so I'm just going to disinclude him.
Well, he's the one that's also been the most against Hayward coming on the Celtics. Yeah.
So I think keeping Bradley and then adding Hayward, like, this team is really going to be fantastic offensively. Defensively, Hayward's a half notch down from where Crowder was when Crowder was on it. Obviously, he'll be able to he'll be able to try to help contain LeBron James. Crowder, we know, last year completely fell off in that series, and they had to bring Jaylen Brown in to help try to cover for that early on. Obviously didn't work out, but like where I see Hayward helping out is because he can run as a point forward off of IT. So you let IT come off ball, let him run around, create some havoc, coming off screens. No one's able to keep up with him. You have Horford setting back screens for him coming off those. Like, this is a team that is very deadly. The big problem, though, like you said, was the concern is rebounding. Getting rid of Crowder, bringing in Hayward, that's not going to help that problem. This is purely like, at this point, we're looking to outscore other teams, out-defend them, because our rebounding didn't get better. I know they brought over Zizic, and the expectations for him, I'm mild, but still, I don't expect that to be a game changer.
Well, and I don't think you can really rely on a guy who's coming over in his first year in the NBA, just being drafted last year, to make a huge impact. I mean, obviously, you hoped him to make a huge impact, but you can't rely on him to be your leading rebounder. You can't rely on him to be a massive force down there. So let's look at least the starting lineup that we do see out here. We see Isaiah Thomas obviously leading the point. We see Avery Bradley starting at that 2. The 3 and the 4 and the 5 are really interesting because we know 2 of the players that are going to be there in Gordon Hayward and now Horford, but really we'd look at the rebounding and we don't really know where that's going to come from. Are you going to want to put a guy like Zizic into the starting lineup right away? What are you looking at for the starting lineup, and what do you think is going to happen? Because I think 1 and 2 are obviously locked down, and then where is Hayward going to play? Is Tatum going to get some minutes right away? Is Jaylen Brown, because of his defense and them trusting his defense last year, is he going to be able to slot in here? What are you looking for, at least in the starting lineup, for the Boston Celtics when they roll it out next season?
I honestly don't expect either one of the younger players, God, I'm blanking on it, Jaylen Brown and JT. I think they're going to run split duty. I think you have a little more trust in Jaylen Brown, obviously. I like the way they made him earn his minutes last year. So I think that Brown, if anybody, will get the nod. But the problem is, you don't have a true 4. Horford can play the 4, and you can run Zizic at the 5, but that's even... Again, you said it. He's a little on the young end, but he does have a decent amount of experience from playing overseas. I think they might give that a go early in the season, because I think that's probably the lineup at the end of the year. They're looking at going with IT Bradley, Hayward, Horford, and Zizic. I think that's the end of year lineup, and I really want to see them give that time because the second unit's going to be a lot of younger guys, but I have a ton of faith in them.
Well, and one thing that Brad Stevens came out and said today is that it's going positionless, like we've mentioned many times on this podcast, that he just needs players to fill certain positions. So we might see a lot of different looks, and we might not see a traditional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lineup out of the Boston Celtics. So if you're just looking at the guys that are going to at least fit the Boston Celtics best, what 5 do you want to see out there, Ricky? Because obviously Isaiah Thomas, Gordon Hayward,
and Al Horford are going to be out there,
and probably Avery Bradley as well. So what other player are you going to throw in there, even if it doesn't match position wise? Because he is just looking for guys who's going to play the wing, who's going to fill a role.
I mean, to me, the 2 that I look at are the exact 2 that Dave mentioned, either Tatum or Brown. But I look at, and I'm trying to think of the teams that you are going to go up against in the end game. I'm not thinking about the regular season. I'm thinking playoffs. And let's be honest. Let's compare them straight up to the Cleveland Cavaliers after the signing. And if we go with the positions, even without the 4, because I think that no matter where Horford plays, 5-4, he's going to be on a K-Love if K-Love is still on this Cavs team when we get to that finals, because that could change as well. But, I mean, IT's still on Kyrie. Because of that defense, I would give the edge to Kyrie.
Well, you probably put, at least defensively, you'd put Avery Bradley on Kyrie.
Okay. But
you're not going to put, you'll leave Isaiah Thomas to guard JR.
Position to position, I'm still giving it to Kyrie. My big thing is, and I don't think Gordon Hayward fixed this problem. I know that you're going to say, well, Ricky, Jaylen Brown going to develop another year. I don't think 1 year is going to turn Jaylen Brown into the master to solve the big problem, which is, who's going to guard LeBron?
Wait, you don't think a 20-year-old Jaylen Brown's going to be able to stop the greatest NBA basketball player?
Michael Jordan Brown?
Yeah.
You're crazy. You're insane.
Didn't know where Jimmy Butler.
Obviously, they're not going to be able to stop LeBron James in a way, but you at least can look at maybe they can beat him somewhere else. Maybe LeBron will go off for 30, 10, or 10 or whatever.
And that's
LeBron
the thing is when we watch the Warriors have success, you can't really stop LeBron from getting his. You can make it more difficult, but really shutting down the guys around him is how you beat this Cavs team. And I think that they have the tools to do that. The big thing, like you said, though, regular season doesn't matter. They can run with, Tatum and Brown out there in the same lineup, and they can just run really small and run Horford at the 5, even if they want to. It's whatever they want. And honestly, the thing is, I really just want to make sure that Brown starts to learn how to be a little more selective with his outside shots. And then Jason Tatum, I kind of want to see him run the second unit. I want to see him develop into that true point forward that I watched him be a little bit in college, but I want all in on that, him leaving the second unit, because honestly, that's the biggest chance they have to expand this team, and that's where the Cavs have the biggest problem is that bench unit is dead and destroyed, so you need to just take advantage of them.
Well, and one thing too with we saw a lot with LeBron in the playoffs was that he wasn't taking a lot of minutes off. So I mean, at least when we get to the playoffs, LeBron's going to play like 42, 44 minutes a game.
Yeah, because he's going to take off during the regular season.
There's really not going to be a second
There's
unit.
a small amount of time you can take advantage of the 8-man roster of this Cavs team.
I mean, you're going to be able to get like 4 minutes without LeBron, and that's when you're really going to need to attack. Because we did see that with the Warriors. They were able to completely swing it. I think it was like a 11-point run.
In 2 minutes? Or
yeah, it was something like that.
It was some crazy amount of time, yeah.
I don't have it pulled up in front of me. It's been a while. So many trades and signings have happened.
I'm glad you mentioned the Warriors, though, because they were the team that I was kind of going to bring up next with the Celtics, is because, to me, this Gordon Hayward signing, I'm not looking at how it affects this next season. I'm looking more for a year from now, because the thing that everyone's talking about now, and I know that on the jump their eyes kind of got really big when you look at the Warriors and their luxury tax. Like, it is something insane where, like, next year they could be paying $90 million. Then it jumps up to like $120 million, then $180 million because of the guys they're going to have to re-sign. And the point that I loved is what Brian Windhorst said, and I think that it fits with the Celtics. When you're a team like the Warriors, paying that luxury tax, if you're able to do it, you're like, whatever, we're winning championships, I don't care. However, the thing that I think the Celtics might run into a problem with next year is we got three, to me, big free agents for this team. Avery Bradley, who's one of your starters, Isaiah Thomas, who is one of your stars on this team, and then Marcus Smart, who's a guy that
restricted free agent.
Well, in trade talks, it's like, no, we want to get rid of Crowder. We really want to keep Bradley and Smart. We don't want to get rid of Smart. However,
that's because they have so many fucking wings.
All three of those guys are going to want more money, and I think that a problem the Celtics might run into is Danny Ainge going to ownership saying, hey, we got to pay up for this, and we might have to go into the luxury tax. And will it be something where ownership says, wait, whoa. We're not even winning the East, and you want us to go into the luxury tax?
Well, I don't know exactly what's going to happen there because, again, I don't even think they should re-sign Isaiah Thomas, and that that's all depending on whether he resigns.
I am totally on that side of the table.
Obviously some teams will be throwing money at Marcus Smart just to force their hand there.
Kind of like an Otto Porter situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Marcus Smart's a bad player, but he is a role player right now.
He's a good defender, and he's a regrettable chucker.
He's gone off before. Yeah, like when he's hitting, he'll put up 36 in like Game 3 against the Cavs, but outside of that, he's going to be nothing special, at least offensively.
I think Avery Bradley is the guy who's kind of the odd man out when it comes to the contract situation.
You think they'd rather sign Isaiah Thomas?
I think they do, because
I think they're going to be forced to have
Jalen can guard twos across the board, and that way you have more room for running 3 small forwards out there at the same time.
But then you're signing, you already have, I'm pretty sure Horford signed a max, Hayward signed a max, and then you're pretty much going to have to, you're going to have to force, I mean, it's not like Isaiah Thomas isn't going to go for a max contract.
Probably not. I mean, who knows this
someone's
year?
Gonna give him a max. Someone's going to give him a max.
Potentially. Everybody this year kind of freaked out compared to last year, so the money wasn't all there.
Well, he might get a Kyle Lowry deal where it's 3 years, $100 million.
That's the thing. So you might not get a full maxed out, 5-year deal or something crazy, but he'll get a couple years. He'll get a good chunk of money. But I think that keeping him intact on this team until you have the next, guy at point guard, there's no point to give him up. I mean, I don't see the value of letting him walk without a for sure landing. They didn't go point guard in this year's draft, so I think that signifies he's going to get paid.
Well, and we do know they have a ton of assets, and obviously they have a ton of assets beyond.
Future,
so they will be able to, if they do see a point guard, maybe possibly draft him next year, and then they can let Isaiah Thomas walk with the way that the draft is coming before free agency. So we'll have to see what happens there. Maybe they make a move for point guard there with one of the assets they have. We know they have a ton of assets there in Boston, so it's interesting to see. But let's get to the question before we kind of wrap this up, because obviously the whole thing is title contender. Do we believe anyone's a title contender with the Warriors and Cavs the way they are?
It's like
even with this signing? It's
like the tweet that I sent you guys that someone did where it was basically LeBron, they cropped in the, smoking Jay Cutler cigarette, and it's like, you know what? I don't care. Cavs, Warriors, part foe. That's what we're dealing with next year.
I mean,
part foe.
I honestly think that this Cavs team could lose out to the Celtics because in free agency they haven't done anything. Nobody obviously in the draft, so really they're reliant on a mid-year blockbuster deal if they are trying to get anything.
I mean, they can still go for Carmelo right now.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, unless they get anything crazy in the next couple, or up into the midpoint in the season, like, I honestly think this Cavs team is not better than the one they're not getting better. So I think the Celtics close the gap.
But is that hurting them in the East?
No. I think
especially
the Celtics close the gap.
with the way that the East has kind of fallen off.
I agree. I mean, the East has gotten less competitive, but still at the top, it's still Cavs, Celtics, and Wizards, assuming Otto Porter re-signs with them.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I think that the Celtics team can compete with them. I think they can take a series off the Cavs.
I mean, it's interesting to see. They might be able to take a series. At least in the idea of they'll be able to take a series. But then you also got to look at what's going to happen in the East. I mean, you look at that 4 seed. That 4 seed might be complete trash in that East. And if the Cavs are the number 1 seed, then they have an easier route, because you look at their first round matchup. It was against Indiana. And Indiana has nobody on that team now. And obviously, we're going to see teams move up. The Cavs might be facing a team like Philadelphia, where Philadelphia has a lot of potential, but it's not like they have a star to
It's not there
go
now.
up against. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not there now. So, I mean, Cleveland might end up running into a really easy path, or Boston might run into an easy path. I mean, we might have like 2 teams that are completely ready to go.
I think the Celtics are going to walk with the 1 seed in the East at this point. I think LeBron's going to take his games. I think they'll do proper rest, and it's going to be a lot of watching the Celtics kind of find their stride with all these younger players mixed into the rotation.
The schedule is going to be different, so obviously we're going to see some different rest schedules.
Right.
I mean, they might not need to rest LeBron as much as they did this year.
Right, because I forgot they changed up the back-to-backs in the 4 and 5.
So the CBA is a little bit different, so we might not even see that much rest. But looking at least the way that if we had to make a power rankings right now, with the Boston Celtics, with all these teams moving over, number 1, I think we all agree that it's the Sacramento Kings, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Orlando Magic.
Yeah,
Orlando Magic. All right, Orlando Magic, then the Sacramento Kings. All right. So
then don't forget about the Hornets. They got Dwight.
Warriors number 1.
Like that.
Warriors number 1. Are you putting the Cavs 2 then?
In the East?
Are we talking just
all of the NBA.
Overall.
All of the NBA.
So Warriors 1, Cavs 2. I'm going Warriors 1, Cavs 2, Celtics 3.
You think?
I still
really?
I still got the West. I got Warriors 1. I got Rockets 2. I think probably even Spurs.
You're taking the Spurs over the Cavs?
I am.
In a 7-game series, you're going to take the Spurs over the Cavs.
Rudy Gay, man.
Think about this, Dave.
I know it sounds crazy, but watching Kawhi and watching what they were able to compete in that one game of hope.
Best player in the NBA.
Versus the second best player in the NBA.
Debatable.
Still, I agree.
I'm still going to go Warriors, Cavs. Warriors, Cavs, Rockets, Thunder, Spurs is my top 5.
Whoa.
Thunder.
Whoa.
All right.
Thunder
don't
better
agree
than the Spurs.
Don't agree with that.
What is yours?
I go Warriors, Rockets, Cavs, Spurs, Celtics. I think it's. I don't want to count out the Spurs. They have the best coach in the league. They have the second best player in the league.
Debatable.
Fine. And they have good talent all around. I know it's aging talent, but still, like, this is a team that will just compete regardless. I think that. I think in a series, I take them seriously. I could see them just as easily. I'm putting them at 4, and I could see them easily getting knocked out in the first round by the loaded West. So it's not that I'm super overhyping them, but it's just like you can't disrespect the Spurs at this point in time.
Yeah, I don't know how much that second best team in the East really sounds to me, because I think still having the Celtics in the top 5 is kind of ridiculous. Just in my personal opinion.
Remember,
I don't think the Celtics are bad,
this.
And I don't think the Celtics wouldn't be able to
I
give
think a lot
the
of
Cavs hell. But the reason I put the Cavs at 2 right now is, yes, they got blown to smithereens in the finals, but it's LeBron James. I mean,
I understand.
He can turn crap into a diamond or whatever.
I mean, look at what he did going to Cleveland when he left. Was they're all right, but it was like, wow, this team is not as good as it was. He comes back, boom, they're right back in the title contention.
Well, they also had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. It's not like he came back to nothing.
And the thing I was going to mention is, I know I say this usually as a joke, but this time I'm actually saying it as like a serious point, is you got to really think about, we were one wrist injury away from having a completely different view of the Celtics, because if the Bulls would have swept them, we wouldn't be talking about the Celtics as like, man, they were so close to beating the Cavs. It would be like, hey, remember that team they lost to Fred Hoiberg's Bulls?
The Bulls would also had to win 2 more games.
Off Rudy,
I'm just saying, he's not wrong, but we're also one injury away from who knows what would have happened in the West with Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
So, again, I
if
think
LeBron didn't pay
I think a lot of the
Zaza.
Celtics this year is going to be dependent on their young guys growing. It's Jason Tatum, it's Jaylen Brown, and it's Zizic. It's the two new additions and Jaylen Brown's second-year transition. That's going to decide, honestly, how far they go. Because the rest of the guys, we know what we're getting, and they're fantastic players. But those guys together, you're right. If I'm deciding between Kyrie, LeBron, and Kevin Love versus Hayward, Horford, and IT, I'm still taking LeBron James. But if you add in those three young guys, plus Avery Bradley, assuming he's still here, I'm more leaning towards the Celtics as a complete team, as a team that can challenge them.
But we know basketball is a game of stars. I love Isaiah. I love Avery Bradley. I love Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I think they're great players. But it's still LeBron James.
I agree.
I mean, it's hard to beat them. And I look at Golden State's been 1. I'll take the Cavs still at 2 because, again, I can't really go against
3 years in a row.
The Cavs. I'll go Houston. I'll go San Antonio, and then I'll go OKC. I'm interested to see what they could do. I'm interested to see what they could do because I mean you're adding a deadly shooter and a deadly scorer to Russell Westbrook, who I mean willed that team, and that team had a shot at the Rockets last year,
but they lost Taj Gibson. It's our boy. Come on.
Okay, is Taj? I would rather have Paul George and Taj Gibson. No offense,
well,
Taj.
Yeah, no shit. But they're different positions. Paul George is a small forward shooting guard. Taj is a pure power forward.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying I'd rather have one than the other. Yeah. I don't care what position they play. I'd rather have Paul George.
You don't
than
have
Taj
a backup
Gibson.
point guard still.
Do you need one?
It'd be nice.
Russ is going to play 47 minutes a game. It doesn't matter.
It'd be nice if they had any semblance of shooting outside of Paul George.
I mean, Roberson was a bad shooter. He can't shoot a free throw. He Can he shoot a 3? Yes.
He only shot like 12 threes. Yeah, he made him a
He shot more than 12 threes.
And then I was talking about in the last series.
Oh, okay.
Just in that last series. Like, yes, he shot pretty well, minus the free throw line. But when you get hacked out of a game, like, you provide no value. I don't care that you're one of the best defenders in the league. Doesn't matter if you can't stay on the court. It's just that easy. I agree it'll be interesting, but I can't see the Thunder in my top 5 right now.
I don't know.
You're saying those two guys overshadow the 3 on Boston?
Yeah.
I just don't agree.
I mean, I would have to see it all play out. It's just base right now. Because I'm not saying
bold prediction. I got the Wolves higher seeded than the Thunder.
That's stupid.
Bold prediction. That's why it's way too early.
Do you want my bold prediction?
Yeah.
The Bucks will jump the Celtics.
What?
I think that
if they stay healthy.
I
can't wait for the summer, the offseason discussion.
If Jabari and Middleton were healthy all year.
What about Parker? Parker's going to come back
that's
too.
That's what I'm saying. Jabari.
Oh, I'm
He's
sorry.
Jabari
Middleton.
If Jabari and Middleton would have stayed healthy, maybe they're a top 4 team in the East.
I don't know. It's just to think about. Again, it's way too early to say any of this.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just pissed off Riley for sure. Anyways.